Welcome to Bariatric Business Accelerator, the podcast created for busy weight loss practitioners and their teams who want to systematize, simplify, and accelerate the growth of their new or established weight loss practice. I'm your host, Carol Clark, and doesn't that sound great? Well, one of the ways that you can get there and that you can enhance your success that you have already is by tracking numbers. But oftentimes, unfortunately, I've been there myself. Sometimes you don't know your numbers or care about your numbers until you do. And it can be the same way with our patients or sometimes with ourselves. That would be me. But sometimes you can be gradually putting on weight and all of a sudden you're like, wow, these pants are a lot tighter than they used to be. And you get on the scale and all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, I need to do something about this. I didn't realize it. I think that happened a lot through the pandemic. It happened a lot in different practices. And gone are the days where most of the time you can just figure everything's going to be all right because revenue's coming in, plenty of patients are coming in. There's a lot of competition in weight loss. Reimbursements are going down, and we need to be having a good grip on our numbers. So before we are kind of shook or shaken to check our numbers, we want to be tracking those every single month. If you are already, kudos to you. It helps you so that you can see trends early and you can make some pivots, make some changes, and make sure that it doesn't become a bigger problem. But for a lot of us, we're busy. And so numbers, like I say, you don't care about them until you do. So what are the numbers I'm talking about? The first one is your goals. Obviously, in any practice, you need to sort of take a look at your budget is the second thing, but your budget relates to your goals. So how many patients do you need to have coming in? How many new patients? And how many of those typically end up turning into a patient? So you need to know how many leads you need to have coming in, how many typically leads does it take to have a new patient, but tracking the goal. So what's the biggest thing your metric that you're measuring? Is it number of surgeries? Is it number of new patients? Is it just gross revenue? Which I hope it's not just gross revenue. We want to be tracking all that. And so if you look at your goals, that's the first thing that you have set, and you communicate with your team so that they're on board with it. And then you monitor that every month. The other numbers that you need to be monitoring is your budget. So a lot of people, if things are just going along hunky-dory, you don't take the time to create a budget. But it can be really helpful to map out the expenses that you know you're going to have that year, especially if there's little things that are coming up. You're starting new construction. Perhaps you're adding a new practitioner. Perhaps you're expanding your team. You're adding a new revenue stream. If there's anything like that going on, you do need to have a budget so that you can predict, okay, if this is going to be my added expenses, what's going to happen on the revenue, what's going to have to happen on the revenue side, and how are we going to make that happen? So your goals, your budget, a lot of times people forget about this too, but it's great to have a savings, make sure that every single month, a certain percentage of your revenue is going into savings so that you have that in the event something happens, because something oftentimes does. So making sure that your savings is growing and that you are monitoring your two biggest expenses that you have. One is payroll. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring your payroll, that it's not getting out of control. And you also want to take a look at your expenses, making sure how is it averaging with what you budgeted? Is it going over every single month? Do you need to tweak something? Does that have to change your revenue? But if you're monitoring specifically these 5 things, your goals, your budget, your savings, even though that one is some people think that's a nicety, but it's something that's great to have there, your savings, and then your 2 top expenses, which is your payroll and overhead. If you're monitoring those every single month, it ends up being a great thing because you have less surprises. So you don't get to the point where I don't really care about my numbers until I really care and I have to do something about it. So monitoring those are really important. We get into other metrics too, like, your return on investment for your marketing efforts and that sort of thing. But these are the big ones for your practice that you need to track. And if something's changing in there, you're seeing a trend, then it's a matter of just diving deeper into that. How can you correct that? How can you make sure that you are adding additional revenue? How can you be curbing those expenses? How are you going to be able to manage that? If you're not putting anything away for savings, how can you change that? So we want to make sure that we're working through that. Because you make money, as you know, and it's a business, even though we're in it to help our patients. Of course, I'm a nurse too, so I am caring. I want to make sure that the patients are getting the outcome. But really, you either need to add more patients to your practice, or you need to be maximizing the long-term lifetime value of your patients. what they're spending, or you have to raise your prices. None of us like to do that, although it is something that happens as well. So those are some of the three ways that you look at from a revenue perspective. But at any rate, these are the things that you need to be tracking so that you don't wake up one day and go, oh my gosh, these numbers are crazy. Oh my gosh, I've got 10, 15, 20 pounds on me that I knew it was creeping on, but I was kind of in denial about. We can be in denial about numbers a lot. So let's not have that happen in your practice, making sure that you are caring about your numbers so that you don't get into that situation. And if I can help in any way, please reach out to me, Carol, Karol, at weightlosspracticebuilder.com. Lots of free resources at weightlosspracticebuilder.com/free. I can't wait to get to know you better. If you're already a member of Barra Do Business Accelerate, I'll talk to you at our next call or our next training. And I just can't wait. I love getting to work with all the different practices across the U.S. And if you ever need any help or you just want some free resources, you know where to find them. In the meantime, take care.